All right. Hey guys. So it's me, obviously. Duh. So this is like the first video I'm making for my trip, and I just wanted to provide a bit of like background information and background story of what this trip is about, what I'm going to be doing, and how I kind of came into this and what like my spiritual practice is. So basically, about 5 years ago, not too long after my father passed away, I um, I was working at the art gallery at the gift shop and had like a really great crew of friends. And this one of the girls, she had asked us if anyone wanted to go to a yoga meditation class with her because she had seen a sign outside of Bank Street that was like $5 yoga and free meditation. And no one like really said anything at the time, and it was like a little bit awkward, and I felt bad for her because like it can take like a lot of courage to like ask a group of people if anyone wants to go do something with you, and it's just like kind of like a huge bummer and kind of like really sucks when no one says anything. And within our group of friends, I was like the yoga person, so I kind of felt like, if anyone was going to go with her, or like who should step up and say something, like, it should be me. Like, it kind of felt like within my role or whatever. So anyhow, so I said I'd go with her, and we went on the Sunday evening, and we did the yoga class and the meditation afterwards, which was not anything I thought that it was going to be. And it turned out that the meditation was kirtan, which is like this call and response chanting of mantras. And so when we got there, they gave us this mantra sheet, and it was like written, typed out in Sanskrit. And so honestly, like that first night I spent, the good portion of the first part of the meditation just like listening to the kirtan leader. So he was playing the harmonium or the guitar, and he'll sing the mantra, and so I'd be listening to him and trying to like match what I'm hearing to the words that I'm seeing like on the paper, to try to get that pronunciation of it. And so I did that, and then I was like just trying to like see if I was getting it right, and kind of like whispering it really quietly. And then my friend kind of started whispering it really quietly. And then as the evening, went on and we kept singing and whatnot, then I was like able to get a little bit like louder and more comfortable with it. And so we went a few times together, and it was really nice afterwards. We felt like just a lot lighter, and like we had engaged in, just like a really positive like activity. And we just felt just really good, and so we kept going. And yeah, so that was really cool. And it was really kind of weird because, like, you guys know me, like I can't sing to save my life. Like, I cannot carry a tune. Even more so like when I first started chanting. So I felt really vulnerable and a little embarrassed because here I am like with a group of people, strangers, like I don't know these people, saying words. I don't know what they are, what they mean, and just kind of winging it. So that was kind of a little bit of a far out experience. So that was really fun. And as I was going to these classes, I was telling mom about it. Just mostly also like at first it was just because she needed to know where I was, like on a Sunday night, like I wasn't at home. And so I started telling her about it, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds really interesting," and I was just keeping her posted on the experience and whatnot. And not too long after it started going, my friend, she stopped showing up and coming with, so I went on my own like once or twice. And then it had kind of turned out that the yoga teacher was leaving. He was going away for the month to teach a class. Sorry, not to teach a class, to go see his family in Malaysia. And instead of doing yoga for that first hour, they were doing a 4-part intro series to the Bhagavad Gita. And so I told mom about that. She's like super. I just thought that'd be something she'd be interested in. So we started going, and I went to the first class with her, and then there was a change in my schedule at work, so I couldn't make it to the intro class, but I ended up meeting up with her for the meditation kirtan aspect of things. So yeah, so we were doing that, and after a few weeks of us going together, one of the facilitators came, like there's a group of facilitators and they're not always all there at the same time. So, some nights you'll see a different facilitator or what have you. And so one night we did, and mom seemed to like recognize her. She seemed familiar. And we're like, oh, not sure. Like, is it who I think it is? I don't know. So mom reached out to what would be the friend in common that they have, and was like, hey, like, am I making this up? Is there any chance that this is actually who I think it is? And turns out it is. So the following week, mom introduced herself and was like, "Hey, like I don't know if you remember me." They had met way back, like in the late '90s or so, and so it turned out that I say we, mom actually had met some of these facilitators back in the '90s, when they were, yeah, so back in the '90s at like a cottage party or what have you. So once that came out, that was really cool. It was really fun, and we were just immediately even more welcomed into just this really great group of people. And then we kept showing up on Sundays, and we were regular, we were inquisitive, and just by like our genuine approach and curiosity into it, they felt comfortable enough to start inviting us to their home, and they would have like these kind of smaller gatherings with people who are, that they have a like closer relationship with. And so it'd be like for appearance days, like celebration days, or just to have like a chant and everyone get together. And it was during that time that I was able to ask more questions, and I was exposed to more aspects of this practice. And I was really on the hunt for like a name, trying to put like a word to it, like a, what is this called kind of a thing. And it took a while, but eventually I got there. And so it's called, this sounds, I feel so silly saying it now, but so Vaishnavism is the practice, which is a path in Hinduism. So Hinduism is just like this kind of broad term, for a religion basically. But within Hinduism, there are a lot of different practices, a lot of different worshiping of different gods and whatnot. And so within this particular line, it's the worship of Vishnu, Vishnu as God. And within that, we practice what's called bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga is living a life of devotion, of love and service to God, to Vishnu, but we're also calling him Krishna. So Krishna is the supreme personality of God, and he's like the all attractive. He's the face that's going to draw you in, that is just so endearing and so sweet. He's your best friend. He's always there with you, he's really just so fantastic. And yeah, so that's kind of like what it's called, Vaishnavism, and we practice bhakti yoga, which is devotion, a devotional kind of practice, spiritual practice to Krishna. And so over the past couple years, or more than a couple years, but a few years, been able to kind of learn and piece things together. And in the first couple years, it was really just kind of getting that understanding, which is super great. And we're there now with that. And something that's foundational to the practice is understanding that you're a spirit soul. So you're not a body, you're not your body, and you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts. You're a spirit soul in essence. And I had kind of grown up with that understanding already. And it mostly because it turned out that my grandfather, my pépère, he had some books from, his name is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and he's an Indian spiritual master, spiritual guru. And so he was born in India, grew up in India, and in the '70s he came over to America to share, Krishna with everyone, and this Vaishnavism and Vaishnava practice. And And so in the 70s, as we know, there was this big, huge hippie movement, and um, there is the history, of like the Hare Krishna hippies and stuff that kind of came through during that time. And my grandfather, not that he was a Hare Krishna hippie, but he, at the time he was an adult and whatnot, but he had picked up some of his books. So Bhaktivedanta wrote some books, and he also translated Vedic scripture, Vedic texts. So he was in this really unique position to know Sanskrit, grow up studying, and spend a lot of his life studying these texts and gaining understanding of them, and then also learning English. And so he was able to translate them for everyone here in the West, which is pretty cool. And that's how we're able now to learn and to grow spiritually. And so my grandfather had a couple of his books, and he had like a loose kind of understanding of, everything. Well, not everything, but he had a loose understanding of like the basics, that, for example, you're a spirit soul. And so he was able to pass that on to my mom, and my mom in her studies and, through her own journey in her life, was able to really assimilate that, learn more about it. And interestingly enough, when we came to this, it was kind of like the last little puzzle piece kind of fell into place, and now, she was able to kind of see the big picture and put it all together, which was really great, because then she was kind of able to help me place certain things and gain some more understanding, which was really great. So grateful for that. Anyhow, yeah, so that's one of the foundational things, kind of starting points in the practice. And so that's something I had grown up with, and it was really interesting to find something that was teaching that, because there's a lot of stuff out there. So that was really cool. And then another thing that is pretty core to living a life of, a spiritual life, and of a spiritual life, is there are 4 principles in which that we go by. And that is no eating meat, which includes eggs. There's no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. So I had I learned about these 4 principles about like a year or so into practicing, into like, chanting and whatnot. And I had kind of made it like my mission to like start living my life that way. And it was actually pretty easy, because at the time I wasn't really drinking. It was pretty much over that. And I had kind of gone through some stuff, so I was not interested in being with anyone. I really needed to like take some time for myself, and I'm not a person who gambles. And I was already vegetarian beforehand. So pretty much that was, check, 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 easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, over the years, like you might notice, like I'm not having like a glass of wine or like a little drink here and there. And it's because, mainly because of these four principles, and one of them being no intoxication. So that's what that's been about this whole time, if you've been wondering. And, yeah, so that's like more or less the gist of it in a kind of quick way about it. And this trip, what's happening is I'm going to be meeting and staying with devotees. So devotees are, I'm not going to like include myself in that, because I'm still, new at this. I mean, it's been 5 years, but still, people who live their life in devotion to Krishna, and their whole, everything that they're doing is about Krishna. And so part of what that means, being a devotee, or devoting your life to Krishna, and part of your spiritual practice, is we have a japa practice. So that is meditation on beads. So I have so these beads were gifted to me by very dear friends who have been just such beautiful guides and friends and spiritual parents, so to speak, an introduction to Krishna. And so you can find beads like this like at most stores nowadays. They'll have some made out of amethyst or jade or whatever, and they're like $120 for some reason. But it's a strand of 108 beads, and you have like the head bead here, you say a prayer, which is like one of the mantras. And then you say what's called the Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you say that on each bead. And when you're an initiated devotee, you have like so many beads that you're supposed to, so not so many beads, so many rounds that you're supposed to do a day. I'm not initiated, and my journey with integrating this as a daily practice um, it's been difficult. It's been on and off. It's been a struggle. But recently, in the past month and a half or so, I've been able to stick with it, which is really great. And yeah, so that's something that we do. And then another thing that you can do is if you have deities, you have like an altar set up. And so usually it's kind of like in a cupboard of some kind. So there's like closed doors, and you have your deities. So you have a Krishna deity, you have Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya, you have Lord Nrsingadev, and then you'd have a picture of your spiritual master or initiating guru person. And that's usually like the crew, like the main crew that's on there. And so part of what you do is your devotional service, and in a really practical way is you in the morning you go and you wake them up, you offer them their waters, you say your prayers, you relate to them, and it kind of helps in creating that relationship and deepening that relationship with Krishna. And so that's something that we do. And then when we have celebration days or appearance days, we get together. We're usually fasting during those days, and we have like a huge potluck, and everyone brings food, or we're cooking stuff up in the kitchen, and we open up the altar, we put all our food out, and we have like special dishes, like little plates and bowls and stuff that is just for offering the food to Krishna. And so we set everything up like that. We make it very nice. We have a huge chant, and then there's a whole offering ceremony that happens. More chanting, and then we close it all up, and then we take it all off of the little plates and little bowls, and then we dig in, and it's really a great amount of fun. It's super fantastic. So that's another thing that we do in our practice. And ultimately we also like dovetail our life to Krishna. So whatever it is that we're doing, we try to remember Krishna while we're doing it. We do it in service to Krishna, in service to others. And so, for example, like I've been working at the cafe for a really long time, and I take that as an opportunity to be in service to others, and share the love and be a positive influence. And sometimes I'll like secretly like offer people's like drinks or something, before, like as I'm making them, especially like the smoothies and stuff in the back, and I have time. So you can also like quickly do an offering, which is really great for just like daily life when you're making dinner, or you're in a rush, or you're just having a snack. And you say a little prayer, and you offer whatever meal it is to Krishna, and you ask him to accept it, and then you say the Maha mantra. And you can also offer like flowers, water, food, leaves, that kind of stuff. So, but not meat and not eggs essentially, but everything else you can pretty much offer it to him. And so that like at work, that would be kind of like part of my service. And when I worked at the vegan bakery, I was like offering all of the food that I was making all the time, so people were eating that. And food that's been offered to Krishna is called prasadam, and it can have really really unexpected but profound effects on someone, spiritually ingesting that food, which is really great. So we like to do that in our little Vaishnava community and devotees, as we offer prasadam and we give it out to people, so that they can benefit from it. And it's so nice to share, a home cooked meal or little baked goods, so that's really fun. So that's another thing that we do, and we share our prasadam stories, and it's really interesting to see like the difference that it can make on a person after. Sometimes it's just a short amount of time, like they have 2 or 3 meals, and then next thing you know they're like, I'm gonna be vegetarian, or it takes a lot of time. You never know, but either way, like it's good for them, and it's just a really nice thing to share and do with others. So yeah, so I'm gonna go be staying with devotees. So our dear friends, who the ones who gifted me these beads, and who have really just welcomed us and become such a huge part of our lives. Mathura Dam Das and Chakrapani Dasi. They're just Harbo guys, love you. If you're watching this, so they're like just, ugh. I mean, they've given us the most beautiful gift of remembering Krishna and helping us have that relationship and nurture it, and work through all of the stuff that comes up when you're starting to engage into a loving relationship with God. And at first I was like, how do I let God love me? It's like, I don't deserve it, like I don't know how to receive love, and especially love from God, love from Krishna. It's completely it's unconditional and it's pure, and it's like no one in your life is gonna love you like that. And so coming to a place in my life where I'm like feeling it, I'm like, how do I accept this, and then feeling undeserving, and then it's like and then you accept it and you're going to be really graceful about it and grateful, and then it's like, well, how can I love him and show him that I'm so grateful, so they've just been really great friends and fantastic guides through this whole journey, and they've been practicing this for about a solid 20 years, 20 to 25 years, and they used to live out in Hawaii, and they lived out there for the 20-25 years, and so they have, through their own journey, have made contact with just such beautiful people and devotees that are now kind of like around the world. And so this first place that I'm going to, just outside of Seattle, is small town Monroe, and there's some devotees there. They have greenhouses and some land, and I think they run some programs as well. And so I'm going to be going and staying with them and just learning about Krishna and being in service to them, offering them, whatever I can, and being present. And I mean, I have no idea. I have no expectations. I wouldn't even know what to expect. I'm really going in blind here, which is great. I'm really excited about that. It kind of makes it kind of more fun. So that's the first place I'm going, and then I'll be in Sacramento, California for about a week and a half. So Seattle, Monroe for 3 weeks, Sacramento, California for a week and a half. And I'm still currently trying to work out where I'm going to be staying, but there's a really great group of devotees there as well. And so I'll be meeting them. And then I'll be in Hawaii for 3 weeks, actually staying on the farm that they had stayed at way back when they were starting in their journey, which is really great. It's kind of like, to me, it kind of feels like a full circle thing, which is really cool. Kind of going back where it started for them. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for all of it, but Hawaii is going to be really cool because it's Hawaii, so there's that. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what this whole trip is about, is going to stay with devotees and learning from them and engaging in service. And some of my goals for this trip, I have like 3 or 4. One, and in no particular order, they're all very important to me. One of them is gaining vision for spiritual masters. So you can, so initiation is part of this. It's not like a mandatory thing. You can be practicing this for your whole life without being initiated, and you're still reaping all the benefits. Like it's not like a mandatory thing. But it is something to work towards if that's something that you're wanting, and it is something that I'm wanting. I think it would be really great, but it's also very serious, and it's a very serious commitment that you're making. And your initiating spiritual master is it's a really important decision to make, because you're kind of like, you're kind of making a spiritual promise, and it's a very serious relationship that you're going to be having, and it has profound effects spiritually, more than I can even wrap my head around right now. I'm still trying to learn about all of this, right? So it's important that you're mindful, about this whole process. And there are some really great, wonderful teachers acharyas is what they're called, and gurus that I've been so blessed and fortunate enough to meet and to get to know in, one way or another. And but what's happening is, I would really like to find that spiritual master, that person for me that I can, go through this initiation with, that I can make these promises with, and I can have that relationship with. It's a very it's like a very anchoring thing to have in your spiritual practice. And I'm opening to that. I'm getting ready for it. And so something that has to happen is you open, you develop the vision for it, because there are a lot of charlatans out there, a lot of people pretending, saying one thing, doing the opposite, or doing different things behind closed doors. And so you have to be really mindful going into this. And there are certain things that you can do to check. So one thing is, checking that what they're saying, what they're teaching is, and what they're living and practicing is in alignment with scripture and what is written. So that's one really big thing. There's checking in with the Lord in the heart, and being prayerful, and, asking, for clarity on this. And you have to kind of be careful how you word it, because, you could ask, hey, show me that this person is my spiritual master, and then you get shown that, but really it's, I don't know, you just have to be careful, and you have to check, and you have to be prayerful, and you have to be careful on how you're wording your prayers, because you can be careful what you wish for, kind of a thing, right? So you want to do that with intention, and making sure you're getting the right kind of clarity, and not just what you want it to be, or what yeah. So there's that. And then another way is so checking in with the Lord in the heart, checking scripture, being prayerful, and also, like, the other thing for me is just being patient with it and letting it kind of naturally evolve and stuff. So I'm hoping with this trip I can develop that vision, and start to work on that, and start to kind of suss out and feel the vibes and get a feel for what's going on. Another goal of mine is to work on the letters. So there's this one initiating spiritual master for a lot. He's initiated a lot of people, and he's the spiritual master of my dear friends Mathura Ram Das, Chakrapani Dasi, and a lot of devotees. And they work really closely with him, and because now we've have such a close relationship, and we're really part of each other's lives. He kind of knows about me in a way. And last year I was asked to write a letter introducing myself to him, just kind of like, this is me, this is what I do, this is how I've been helping in service, and these are my propensities, and this is just kind of introducing myself, and I haven't done it yet. So over this trip I really want to take this opportunity to talk to other devotees about it. Well, not like everyone, but some people who have been practicing this for a long time, and who they help people with this kind of thing. And just kind of get their input, and formulate my letter. So that would be really great. And then another thing is working on selfishness and self-centeredness. So our kind of natural disposition as as human beings, as souls here in the material world, is we kind of have this kind of default setting of self-centeredness and selfishness, and it's just the material nature of this, the circumstances that we're in. And for some people it's exacerbated, and it's more so for others. So not that I'm going around thinking I'm like this horribly selfish, self-centered person or anything, but it is something that I have noticed within myself from like a younger age, and I would really like to just kind of start really working away, chipping away at it, and if anything, at least put in a big dent in that and get some more understanding and clarity about it, get into control about it, develop some tools to shift my frame of mind and my thinking. So that's one of my goals as well, is doing that. So those I think are kind of my main 3 goals. And then just like learning as much as I can and continuing to foster love for Krishna and deepen that relationship. So yeah, that's mostly it. And I just kind of wanted to make this little video just to give a little bit of background information, because I'm not going to be like going and editing these and cutting out parts and refilming, re-saying. Like I'm not messing with that. It's just going to be like literally you and I, sitting here, and I'm spewing out whatever is coming out about what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through. So it'd be, I don't know, it might be kind of shocking or weird for some of you, clicking on a video and I'm like, all of a sudden, God and Krishna and Lord in the heart, you're probably like, whoa, like, where is this coming from? So I just wanted to give a quick little background story about, what it's about, how I came to and whatnot. So if you have any questions about that, like, feel free to, message me, or if you can comment on this, comment on it, and I can try to get to it in the next video. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Long story short, I mean, it's been 30 minutes already, so I don't know if that's so short, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to be going on my trip. I'm all packed up. I'm leaving today, and we're heading off soon. So thank you so much for listening, and yeah, so that's everything. Catch you guys later. Bye.